So in this video, I will be taking you guys through the Cliff Notes version of this cover for Money Shot number 3 for Vault Comics. If you want to watch the whole thing kind of uncut step by step, I'll put a link in the description to the stream where I colored this. There's also a PSD file in the description on that video you can download and try it out for yourself if you want. So this cover had, I guess, two sort of challenges that were a little different than the usual cover. So number one, it's a big face. Like, I'm pretty sure it's the biggest face that I've ever had to color. There's not necessarily a ton more detail in the line art than there is just throughout the book. But at the same time, I feel like there's more room for error as a colorist when you've got these big areas. You can get a lot of detail in it that way. That was something I was keeping in mind. And second, I was going to be coloring this live, and so I didn't want to like do a whole lot of experimenting or anything live. And so I actually did a much tighter, more detailed rough, like a rough color sketch, actually on Rebekah's drawing sketch. It's not even the final cover, but it showed me that, okay, I think this sketch is going to work. You know, I went ahead and showed it to the team, and they're like, yeah, that's cool. And so that way you can just jump right into the live stream. And for the color palette on this, honestly, I was thinking about that movie Neon Demon, or at least the way a lot of that movie Neon Demon is colored in the promotional materials and the posters and whatnot. There's this very cool, you know, kind of baby blue neon color, and then this pink. And I was thinking, well, what if it's like that but warm instead of cool? So like instead of cool and pink, like warm and pink. At least for the character. That was what I was thinking anyway. And these lights were fine for the rough, but what I wanted to do, just to be more confident about the lighting on the final product, is I wanted reference. So I went into Tilt Brush and I imported a female planar head, and then set up the light sources. I even set up the right colors, and having two really different colors like that also helped just to make the reference easier to read. So even if you weren't planning on having really strong colors in your light sources, sometimes for reference purposes, I kind of like having two very different colors just so it's easy to tell what's what. Now, if you don't have a VR headset, which is most people, I think, there's also an app available called Handy. It's an art reference tool. It's available on pretty much everything, I think. Android, iOS, Mac, Windows. So I think no matter what you're using, there's probably a way to download that app. It's really simple to use. I set this example up in like a minute, and it basically does the same thing that I did in VR. And this is not a Handy sponsored video. I like the app. The other reason the color sketch helped is I wanted to be able, for the stream and the people watching, I wanted to be able to basically give them a color palette so that they didn't have to worry about the colors. And I flatted the file ahead of time because analytics prove here on YouTube, you guys do not want to watch me flatten very much. So we started with this explosion, and the rendering here is on a linear dodge mode layer, or add mode layer in Procreate is what they call it. It's really deep orange, and I just sort of thinly layered the light in here to build it up with more light toward the center of the explosion, which is not really what the reference looked like, but this looked cooler. So using that same color, I went on to start lighting her hair from the top, and any areas that faced up made those a little bit brighter. And notice that I'm not just lighting every clump of hair the exact same way. You know, there are places the light doesn't reach, like under her ears where hair is kind of tucked back. And it's not quite as bright along the sides because, again, they're not facing the light quite as much. And moving on to her face, now I'm using the same formula that I talked about in the last tutorial. I will link this below. But I started with the brightest light source, and that's going to establish where all the rest of the lights go. And for this, I used a lasso to kind of precisely contain where I wanted the light to show up, and then use a smudge tool to kind of blend that, because I didn't really want this to look like I used a lasso. I'm trying to hide my tracks here, basically. That just wasn't really the style I was going for. And I didn't just, you know, smudge everything equally. You know, I blended it more in the areas where the transition between light and shadow is wider, you know, less so on like this cast shadow under her brow. Again, this is linear dodge mode. It's the same mode as the hair and everything else. And I received a good question during the stream. You know, how did you keep one side of the selection soft and one hard? You know, this isn't some special lasso setting. I'm just controlling which part of the brush that I'm using. And I'm actually just going to do a quick tangent here and show you what I mean. So there's two ways. Well, there's probably way more than two ways, but I'm just going to show you two ways real quick. This works in most apps, I think. I know Photoshop and Procreate and Clip and a bunch of others. But so the lasso, if I make a selection and the feather is set to 0, and I switch to a soft brush and I paint this in. All right, what you'll notice is because the feather is 0, you're going to get this hard, jagged edge. This is aliased is the word. Anti-aliasing, which is this here, and you can see when it's aliased, there's a little bit of a softer edge here. Now, I just don't ever keep anti-alias on. I mean, that's a choice that is, there's no right or wrong. I personally don't use it. Now, if you want to really crank up this aliasing into, you know, a more distance, there's this other setting here called feather. So if I increase that and draw another selection and paint this in, you'll see the edge is very, very soft, okay? So it's setting this little radius here of 11.2 pixels, and it's creating kind of a fade effect. And I can change this feather. I can make it really big, and try this again. And you can see that even though I'm filling with just a soft brush and coloring in everywhere, it's still generating this little fade here around the edges. Let's set the feather back to 0. I'm going to make a selection. And they were asking how I was able to make one edge hard and one edge appear softer. That's not really the lasso, that's the brush, okay? Watch what happens when I do this again. So I'm going to make a selection, doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to switch to a soft round brush, but I'm not going to make the brush super huge, bigger than my area, and try to paint right in the middle of it, because that's basically going to give me a hard edge everywhere. But if I make the brush smaller and just color with basically half the brush, you see how I'm just not bringing the brush down into this area. I'm just leaving it up here. And I'm letting the brush and the softness on the brush is what's actually creating this gradient here. So it's not the lasso in this case, it's the brush. And it's easy to do. Once you get your selection made, just make your brush a little smaller than your selection. And I'm basically painting with that half of the brush. This is a technique used often in coloring comics, so it's an important one to understand. Okay, tangent lesson over. So once all of that light is established, I can add my second light source. Now this one is coming from the bottom, and there's no real reason for it other than it looks cool and dramatic, which is all the reason that I think you need. This cover is actually, I want it to stand out on the shelf against all the other colors, and so you really want it to pop. As much as you guys know, I hate that phrase, but that's what you want to do. You want to get a lot of contrast, and I thought this second light source helped with that. Now, if you're following that lighting formula I mentioned earlier, you'll notice that the purple never crosses the terminator established by the first light source. Okay, the first light source is brighter, and so that terminator acts sort of like a border, and the second light here is only contained to the shadows from the first light source. It was around this time I also realized her hair was too light. She's actually a brunette, and it wasn't really reading that way. So I darkened the base color and darkened the lighting on that layer as well. This is another reason I like keeping these on separate layers. It makes editing much, much easier. I added some additional details around the face or mouth and eyes. Added what's really a third light source. This is more of an ambient light, kind of roughly coming from the top, but not really that strong. Just in the area of the shadows where there is no rendering yet. This is very soft and very subtle because I don't want to overpower anything else that I've done. I also added some warmth to the transitions, some subsurface scattering, which sounds so technical. But I actually did a little tangent lesson in the stream. I will link to that and its timestamp, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. But that'll kind of explain my thought process on where I added those details. I did a couple of tweaks in Photoshop afterward to increase the contrast even more. I also added the star field, which I thought of after the stream was done. And sort of for maximum contrast here, like you'll notice that the background is more green against the red of her skin. And then it sort of fades into a blue against the yellow from the explosion. So it's kind of two complementary pairs happening here, and it creates just a really strong contrast between the two, the foreground and the background. And some people have already posted their versions of this cover on Instagram and Twitter, which is awesome. Thanks to everyone that took part. I had a lot of fun with it. Hopefully we can do that again soon. I want to thank everyone that supports this channel through YouTube memberships, Patreon, Twitch, everyone that buys courses. We are all gathered in the new Discord as well, so if you're interested in chatting with a bunch of fellow coloring nerds, consider signing up. I enjoy it. There's a channel for feedback available to members. You also get 2 exclusive live classes each month, and this helps me make more free stuff on YouTube. And if you're like me and you're like, I can't support all the people I want to support on YouTube, what do I do? Well, just share the video, retweet it, put it on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever's cool at the time you're watching this video. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Take care.